So moving into Copilot, which is where most of the efforts are going into today. These are again, not everything that came out in Copilot for the last quarter, being July 1 to September 30th. But this is what I feel like are the ones that most people are going to use. And I highly anticipate the Copilot section for the next one to be much larger, because there are loads of announcements coming out at Ignite here in a few weeks. And I just registered for all my sessions this morning. Every time slot has something to do with Copilot. So there's loads of announcements coming out about Copilot. So I have a feeling that the Copilot section in the next quarter will be much larger than the team section. So first thing up is they've upgraded their risk assessment quick start guide. So this is something that they do almost every quarter, which I'm glad that they do this, because as more and more people start using Copilot, they're finding more and more risks that could potentially hinder some people from using it. So they're constantly upgrading their risk and assessment quick start guide. If you want to get your hands on this, just reach out to us. We can make sure that we get you the newest risk assessment. It's just a guide. It's a Q&A kind of guide. But there's some really good questions in there that make you think, is your organization really ready from a risk perspective to use Copilot, or do you have some work to do inside your organization? This one's big for the GCC. So it's rolling out this month for GCC clients. It started rolling out. I don't think it's all the way out yet, but it is GA, which is generally availability for the GCC, not GCC high, but the GCC tenant. So if you are a GCC client in the tenant, Copilot's coming your way. I know a lot of people have been asking, when is it coming? Well, it's there. It's starting to roll out. There's announcements for the GCC high and the DoD tenants that they're expecting that to come out in the summer, but that's still pending the government authorization. But they expect it, based on the last call I was in, this is still the target, the summer of next year. The mitigating the oversharing and risk, I didn't know if I should put this in the Copilot section or in the SharePoint section, because it could go either one. I ended up deciding to put it here because it's more related to Copilot than SharePoint. But there's a lot of things inside the SharePoint dashboard now because of Copilot that you can exclude certain SharePoint libraries from Copilot to being able to use it. So if you're still working through some of your sites or some of your libraries that you have out there that you don't know, was this overshared or how this was shared, you think people have access that they shouldn't, or this is sensitive content, you can actually say, I want to exclude this. And so now Copilot will not search it. So this started rolling out in August. This is going to help those people that, I mean, a lot of companies are like this. People just got share crazy because they're like, oh, this would be good for them to use. And so they send it to a lot of different people. Maybe they shouldn't have access to that, or maybe a document was updated that now they shouldn't have access to it. So it helps a lot from mitigating some information that you don't want to get to certain people. So this will help you do that, where you can do a little bit more discovery on your side. Generating images. So this one, again, this is one of those ones that I didn't think was going to be that impactful until I started using it. So it used to be you had to go out to like Designer or another one of the Microsoft channels that they had for creating images, create your image in there and then download it and then put it inside your application. Now you can do this inside the actual application. So if you're in PowerPoint, you don't have to go out to Designer to get your image created and then pull it back into PowerPoint. You can create this directly inside PowerPoint now as well. They moved private chat into Loop. What this means is, just like how it was inside Outlook or inside Teams, if you got added to a Loop channel later, or maybe you went on vacation and instead of having to scroll back through and look through everything, you can actually have a chat with Copilot. It's like, what happened in the past 2 weeks inside this Loop channel that I missed because I was on PTO? And so now Copilot will actually go in there and give you an output read of everything that you might have missed. Or again, if you're a new one, hey, can you summarize this Loop channel for me since I just got added to this Loop channel? So you can actually have a one-to-one chat with Copilot inside Loop now. This one, A lot of my peers didn't like this one when this one came out because they said nobody uses handwritten notes anymore. I actually still do. I have a Microsoft Surface tablet that I use when I go into face-to-face meetings, that I will actually scribble notes down on my tablet. And now Copilot can actually read those and put those into meeting recaps for me, because I'm jotting notes down versus typing them out. Because if I'm in a face-to-face meeting, I don't really want to have my laptop sitting on the table taking notes. I would rather have conversations, and then I can just jot things down. Copilot can now read those, and it can actually generate a lot of summaries or lists for you based on what you have written inside your OneNote. So Copilot went GA in Excel. It was in preview when it was first announced, and it was in preview for a long time. So you could use it, but it wasn't GA. It's now GA. And the cool thing is conditional formatting. This is one that I've talked about a lot, that I could never remember all the different conditional formatting kind of rules and formats that you would have to use. Now you can just ask Copilot to do it for you. So these examples is like, it says highlight the rows where the sales lead, but not the territory that doesn't have a territory listed. So in versus, you coming in here and highlighting that, it's going to create the conditional format, the formula for you, and then you can say, okay, now apply this, and it does it for you, versus having to go out to Bing to look it up. One that I've used a lot is I want you to highlight all the duplicates in red, all the triplicates in blue, anytime you see something that repeats 4 times in green. So it's a very stack level conditional formatting. That would take me several Bing searches to figure out how to write that, because I don't do conditional formatting all the time. I just asked Copilot to do it for me. It created it for me. I hit apply, and now my sheet has the color coding that I wanted to see, and it was very useful. And it took less than 30 seconds versus me going and spending, probably an hour or so out on Bing trying to figure out how to do this and making sure the articles that I'm looking at are even right. So a lot of trial and error. Now that's gone away, you can just ask a question and it'll do it for you. So this is a Copilot in Word. When this came out, it had a limit on how many words could be in the document that it could summarize. They've expanded that by almost 4 times the amount of words that were in the document. So you can use Copilot to summarize a much larger Word document now, and many more pages. So how many pages Copilot could do is increased as well. So they're continuously expanding how big the document can be that Word could do, because there was a lot of complaints that, I need a summarization of all these Word files. We could only do 5 at a time before. Now I can do 10 at a time, and now these files can have 80,000 words. And so they're continuously expanding on how Copilot can ingest the data and get back to you.